part of what we do is out of our gratefulness to God, we give. It's not because God needs it. It's because we need to acknowledge that it all belongs to God. The question really isn't, can I afford to tithe? The better question really is, can I afford not to tithe? It's an ancient formula. It goes back even predating Christians. It's an ancient formula. If you're not a believer, and you're not even talking about tithing, it's still a good formula. Write these three numbers down: 10, 10, and 80. That's still a good formula to give 10% of what you have away. Now, in the church, we call that a tithe, but you don't have to be a Christian to just be a generous person. Just give away. 10% to yourself, savings, and then live on the 80%. Now, my guess is that we have quite a few people who actually follow that formula, and they're experiencing the blessings of God because they've put the first button where it was supposed to be. They acknowledge that God owns it all. You give back to God. It's a part of the way that we manage. Now, I'm asked this occasionally. Well, if a person doesn't tithe, is it okay that they just start where they are? Let's say you don't tithe, you just give $5. Sure, just figure out where you're starting. Now, I know that there are some Christians who will take a deep breath and they'll go, well, surely you don't mean just start at 2% and then next year add 3%, and then next year add 4%, next year, and just work your way to 10%. Someone said, if somebody was robbing 5 banks a week, would you just tell them to quit robbing 5 banks and rob 4 banks? And then next month, rob 3 banks? And I got to think about that, and I said, yeah. Because robbing 3 banks would be better than robbing 5 banks. The point is that at some point, you need to begin to change your thinking. That what I have is not mine, it's God's. He trusts me with it. I'm His manager. However it is that you're giving it away, however it is that you're blessing others, the idea is that you're a manager. That's the G. The E is this. You can't expect God to help you. Expect Him to. Expect God to help. God, I'm having trouble managing my budget. I'm having trouble living within my means. I'm having trouble making ends meet. 1 out of every 5 teachings of Jesus deals with money or possessions. 20% of every parable Jesus told deals with possessions. It's important to Him. He knows it's important to us. You can expect Him to help. Philippians 4 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Well, I'll never be able to live that way. Of course you can. You can do all things through Christ who will help you. I'd never be able to give that part of my income away. Of course you can. You can do all things through Christ who will help you. You can expect God to help you, but where it has to begin is just like step 1 of a 12-step program. Let's see how many Bill W. friends we have. What's step 1? I got a problem. And if you're not at a point where you can admit you've got a problem, then none of the steps are going to help you. Step 1 is, I've got a problem. Step 2 is, there is a God and I'm not Him. Those are the steps to take. You can expect God to help you, but there has to be step 1 that says, God, I got a problem with my finances. I want to honor you with my time. I want to honor you with my talents. I want to honor you with my treasure. And I've got a problem. My problem's me. My problem's not how much money I make. My problem's me. It really doesn't make a difference if you make a little or make a lot. The greed issue, it doesn't matter if you're retired or if you're working full time. The greed issue of your time is the same. You can expect God to help you. Then the last one is the R, to rejoice. Rejoice in the idea that God has believed in you. That God believes that you can be a manager of what He's put in your hands. Now listen, He didn't put 5 talents in my hand. You know, some people are gifted. He puts 5 talents. He makes them multiple talent. When we go to around the world and we go on mission trips, I particularly like when we were talking to Brady, the guy who was in charge of North Africa and the Middle East. And he was sitting around a table and he just kind of went down the line and he said, well, what do you do for a living? The guy said, well, I drive a backhoe. He said, oh man, I need a guy that can drive a backhoe over in Africa to help. And he said, what do you do? He said, well, I'm a nurse. Oh man, I need a nurse. I need nurses all the time. What do you do? I'm a banker. Oh, man, I need a banker. And he gets to the preacher. He said, what do you do? I'm a preacher. He said, well, you're the only guy I can't use. You just got one bullet, and that's it. And you can't use it where we are. You know, really, you rejoice that God has considered you a manager, that He's trusted you enough. How many ever talents He's put in your hands, whatever gifts, whatever abilities, whatever time, you rejoice that God has chosen you. It all is His, but He trusts you with it. I want you to join me. Stand together, please. You know, it's an old phrase, but it still is accurate today. What you have in your hands, your time, your talent, your treasure, whatever you have is God's gift to you. But what you do with it becomes your gift back to God. I just want to set us free. It does matter how you spend it. If you spend it wisely, what happens is you end up with more. That's not the gospel according to Tom. That's what Jesus said. If you use it wisely, those who have are given more. If you use your time wisely, I believe that God blesses your time. If you use your talents and your treasures, I believe that God gives you more opportunity. I just want to set us free, because not to use it wisely is to be in bondage. It puts such an unnecessary stress on our families, on our relationships. It keeps us from giving and doing all that's in us to give and to do. In the name of Jesus Christ, let's change our thinking. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. All that's in it belongs to Him. And we're His managers. We're going to sing together. If there's a decision that you'd like to make today, maybe you want to come and kneel and pray, something's going on in your life that you want to bring to the altar is open. Maybe you want to talk to someone. We're here and we have elders ready and available. This is a time of responding as God may be speaking to your heart.